billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum. The project behind me is the well-known Karbala project. However, the journey that we're trying to show here is the journey that Bibi Zainab and the Imam Zain al-Abidin took. The journey starts from Karbala, heading towards Kufa, where they are kept as captives in Ibn Ziyad's palace, and finally taken all the way to Sham, where they are put in front of Yazid, in Yazid's courthouse, in front of Yazid, where he not only humiliated Bibi Zainab and her family members, however also humiliated the martyrs' heads, and finally they were taken to jail, where they are put in Yazid's jail in Sham. It should be noted that the atrocities that they went through in Sham were more than the atrocities that they went through over in Karbala, and therefore when Imam Zain al-Abidin was asked the hardest part overall throughout the journey from Karbala all the way to Sham, he repeated Asham, Asham, Asham thrice. And we see that atrocities that happened in Sham that you will obviously see later on.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We start this journey in Aleppo as the caravan of the holy household of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam were taken as prisoners and were forced to walk from Kufa to Sham. On their journey, they rested in one night outside a Christian monastery. The head priest at the time was called Rahib. He moves out of the monastery and sees the holy head of Imam al-Hussein on top of a spear. Intrigued, Rahib moves forward and asks the army of Yazid as to whose head this is. The army says that this head belongs to Hussein, who was slaughtered in Karbala. Rahib, upon hearing this, offers 10,000 dinars in exchange to have the head of Imam al-Hussein for one night. As he brings the head of Imam al-Hussein inside the monastery, he cleans the head, he perfumes the head with kafur and places it on top of a stone. As he sat across the head of Imam al-Hussein, he says, I have seen this face before, I recognize it. And the head of Imam al-Hussein replies back and he says, "Oh Rahib, I am the one who granted you 7 children when you had nothing in your destiny. I am Hussein, the grandson of the Holy Prophet." The stone on which the Imam's head was placed on, the blood from the severed neck of Imam has stained the stone and is currently available at Masjid-e-Nukta.
Assalamu alaikum. Now we are standing in Bab Sagir. Bab Sagir is a cemetery in Syria where many holy personalities and the companions of the holy personalities are buried. Amongst this holy personality is Bibi Fizza. Bibi Fizza was the helper of Bibi Fatima, who used to help Bibi Fatima in her daily activities. Narration says she was also a Hafiz of the Quran. Bibi Fizza accompanied Imam from his journey which ended in Karbala. She witnessed how the Imam was killed, how the Bani Hashims present in Karbala were killed, and how the companions of the Bani Hashim present in Karbala were killed. She was also by the side of Imam Sajjad and Bibi Zainab after the house was looted and all their things were looted. She accompanied them from Karbala to Kufa and Kufa to Sham. Another holy personality who is buried in Bab Sagir is Hazrat Bilal ibn Ribah, or commonly known as Hazrat Bilal al-Habashi. He was the companion of the Holy Prophet, who was then appointed to be the Muazzin. He is also buried here in Bab Sagir. Bibi Kulsum has a replica of a Shabi here in Bab Sagir. Bibi Kulsum was the daughter of Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima and the sister of Imam Hussein. She also saw what befell on Imam Hussein in the plains of Karbala. Another holy personality who is buried here in Bab Sagir is Bibi Asma. Bibi Asma was the wife of Hazrat Jafar al-Tayyar. This is the replica of the place where Imam Zain al-Abidin washed the 16 heads that were given to him on his journey to Sham. This place is also located in Bab Sagir. This head were the 16 heads of the Bani Hashims and the companions of the Bani Hashims that were martyred in the plains of Karbala. This place is called Ganj Shahida and is still located in Bab Sagir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Salamun alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. After the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah, his family members and his companions, the household of Imam al-Hussein were taken as captives from Karbala to Kufa and from Kufa to the land of Sham where we are in at the moment. When the household of Aba Abdullah arrived on the plains of Sham, they were told to wait outside the gates of Sham for several hours because the bazaar of Sham was being prepared. The bazaar of Sham was being decorated, as these are the captives of Yazid, and as Yazid has won the battle and Aba Abdullah al-Hussein has lost the battle. When the caravan of Aba Abdullah entered the bazaar of Sham, it is reported that there were certain people who were throwing stones at the household of Aba Abdullah. There were certain people who had boiling water who came forward and they poured the boiling water on the head of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. There were certain people who were coming forward with spears and they were attacking Imam Sajjad with spears. To that extent they showed hatred towards the fourth holy Imam, that there were certain people who came forward and they told the fourth holy Imam, curse be on you and curse be on your entire family. It is reported that the household of Aba Abdullah were tied with one rope, that if one lady would walk faster or if one lady would walk slower, the other ladies would fall off, and when any of the ladies or the women would fall off, the enemies would come and they would either slap them or they would either weep them. It is reported that after the bazaar of Sham, they were now told to enter the darbar of Yazid.
After the bazaar of Sham, the captives, the family of Imam Hussein salam, are then brought to the courtyard of Yazid, where they are told to wait. Why? Was because Yazid was trying to decorate his palace and was inviting ministers and dignitaries from all around his kingdom to come and celebrate with him. After this, the captives were then brought into the darbar of Yazid, and the head of Imam Hussein alayhi salam placed next to Yazid. Narrations mention Yazid starts playing with the lips of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He starts hitting the teeth of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Later on, narrations mention Sayyida Zainab stands up and she delivers a sermon. She gives a khutbah, a very powerful khutbah, very powerful sermon. This sermon trembles the people's hearts. It trembles everyone inside the palace at that time. And the end of the sermon, Sayyida Zainab mentions, she cites a verse, Surah number 3, verse 178, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, وَلَا يَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّمَا نُمْلِي لَهُمْ خَيْرٌ لِيَنفُسِهِمْ إِنَّمَا نُمْلِي لَهُمْ لِيَزْدَادُوا إِثْمًا وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. And let not those who disbelieve think that we add for them respite for the betterments of their soul. We add for them respite so that they may add to their sins, and a painful punishment awaits them. Narrations mention amongst the ministers present in the palace of Yazid, there was one minister who turns and looks at the family of Imam Hussein, and specifically looks at the daughter of Imam Hussein, Sayyida Sakina, and he tells Yazid, "Oh Yazid, I want this girl as my slave." Imagine what went through the heart of Sayyida Sakina when she knows all her life she has been treated like a princess, and now she's standing in the darbar of Yazid being auctioned for as a slave. Later on, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam stands up and he delivers a sermon. He gives a khutbah, very powerful khutbah, very powerful sermon. He starts by saying, "Whosoever recognizes me knows me, and whosoever does not recognize me, let me tell you who I am and what family I come from." He starts by describing himself, "Anabnu Makkah wa Mina, I am the son of Makkah and Mina. Anabnu Safa wa Marwa, I am the son of Safa and Marwa. Anabnu Muhammadin al-Mustafa, Anabnu Aliyin al-Murtada." And then he ends by saying, "Anabnu Fatimata Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen, I am the son of Fatima, the greatest woman of all the worlds." Then he looks at the head of Imam Hussein and says, "I am the son of the owner of that head who was slaughtered mercilessly on the plains of Karbala." Narrations mention that there is a commotion in the palace of Yazid, and Yazid realizes that Imam Sajjad must stop speaking. He must stop speaking. He says the only way he'll stop speaking is by telling the muazzin to give the adhan. When the muazzin reaches the part, "Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah," when he reaches that part, the narrations mention Imam Sajjad tells him to stop. He looks at Yazid and tells him, "Oh Yazid, tell me, the Muhammad in this adhan, is he your grandfather or mine? If he is your grandfather, then you're a liar. And if you say he is my grandfather, then why have you taken his family as captive? And why have you slaughtered his grandson mercilessly on the plains of Karbala?" There is a commotion in the palace of Yazid, and he can no longer take it, so he orders the captives to be sent to the prison of Sham. The caravan was brought into this dungeon. The zindan did not have the roof. Baby Zainab says sometimes in the nights it was so windy that the prisoners could not sleep. In the daytime it was so hot that the prisoners could not bear it. Bibi Sakina used to see the birds fly and ask Bibi Zainab, "Oh Pupi Zainab, where are these birds going?"
Bibi Zainab used to say they're going back to their home. Bibi Sakina used to ask, when will we go back to our home? When will we go to our home? ہاں ایک رات سکینہ سوئی ہوئی تھی, سکینہ نیند سے بیدار ہوتی ہے, سکینہ نیند سے بیدار ہوتی ہے, کہتی ہے بابا بابا میرا بابا کہاں ہے؟ زینب کبریٰ پوچھتی ہے سکینہ کیا ہو گیا؟ سکینہ کہتی ہے میں نے خواب میں اپنے بابا کو دیکھا. سکینہ کی آہو فغاں بلند ہوتی ہے, یہ آواز یزید کے دربار تک پہنچتی ہے. یزید کی نیند میں خلل آتا ہے. یزید غلام سے پوچھتا ہے یہ کون گریہ کر رہا ہے؟ غلام کہتا ہے یہ حسین کی 4 سالہ بیٹی سکینہ ہے جو اپنے بابا پہ ہر دن گریہ کرتی ہے. یزید یہ حکم دیتا ہے جاؤ سکینہ کو اس کے بابا کا سر دے دو. سر کو تشت میں رکھا جاتا ہے, زندان میں لایا جاتا ہے, سر کو سکینہ کے حوالے کیا جاتا ہے. سکینہ اپنے بابا کے سر کو لیتی ہے, سکینہ بابا کے سر کو سینے سے لگاتی ہے, سکینہ اپنے رخسار کو بابا کے رخسار پہ رکھتی ہے, مصائب کو پڑھنا شروع کرتی ہے. بابا آپ کے بعد جب بھی میں آپ کے مصائب پڑھنا چاہتی تھی تو ظالم مجھے تماچے لگایا کرتا تھا. بابا میرے گوشوارے چھین لیے گئے, بابا میرے دامن میں آگ لگا دی گئی. سکینہ مصائب پڑھتی گئی, کہتی گئی بابا بابا. زینب کبریٰ نے بیٹا سجاد سے کہا بیٹا سجاد دیکھنا سکینہ کیوں خاموش ہو گئی. امام سجاد اپنی زنجیر کو سنبھالے سکینہ کے آگے آتے ہیں, صرف سر کو جھکائے امام سجاد فرماتے ہیں انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون. پھوپھی زینب جس امانت کو ہم نے کربلا میں بابا سے لیا تھا اس کو اب یہی زندان میں چھوڑنا پڑے گا. یا زینب یا زینب یا زینب یا زینب یا زینب یا زینب.
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان اللعین الرجیم. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. Assalamu alayka ya Jabal Aswab. Peace be upon, O the mountain of patience. Bibi Zainab saw all the atrocities that befell on Imam Hussein in Karbala. After Imam Hussein was slaughtered on the plains of Karbala, the tents were burnt and the tents were looted. Bibi Zainab then settled all the babies and children on one side. She stood as a guard around them with a broken spear in her hand. She made sure no enemies approached the Qafila of Imam Hussein. She became the Haidar-e-Qarrar of that time. The Qafila then was taken as captives from Karbala to Kufa to Sham. When they reached Sham, they went to the darbar and then to the dungeon. Bibi Sakina passed away, after which the caravan was then sent back to Medina. Remember that Bibi Zainab didn't cry for her children the whole journey from Karbala to Kufa to Sham. But when she arrived in Medina, she entered her house just to see the 2 tiny musallas of Aun and Muhammad, just to see the 2 tiny pairs of clothes of Aun and Muhammad, just to see the 2 tiny beds of Aun and Muhammad. She couldn't bear it and cried a lot for her children. After a few months, Bibi Zainab again went to Sham to visit the little grave of Bibi Sakina. She lit candles over there and requested the ladies that every night they should come and light candles on Bibi Sakina's grave, because the 4-year-old daughter of Imam Hussein was afraid of dark. After a few days, Bibi Zainab returned to Medina. On her journey back to Medina, Bibi Zainab became really ill and she passed away. She is now buried in Sham. Remember that millions and millions of people go to visit the shrine of Imam Hussein in the month of Safar at the time of Arba'in. They go to visit the shrine of Hazrat Abbas in Karbala. But then very few people go to visit the shrine of Bibi Zainab in Sham. Very few people go to visit the shrine of Bibi Zainab in Syria. Bibi Zainab is all alone on the plains of Syria.
Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So currently we are at Maqam Imam Zamana because it is narrated whenever we mourn over the atrocities that befell Imam al-Hussein and his holy household, the Imam of our time is present. He too mourns with us. Let us all together pay our condolences to the Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi, and pray for his hasty reappearance. Wassalamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.